Hi everyone, this is Ana Lucia Novak with SocialAna.com. I'd like to take this time to thank Craig Cannings of VA Classroom for asking me to share my favorite social media management dashboard tool. Now, this is not going to be a deep dive, but rather a quick overview of what Hootsuite is and the type of social media channels and applications that you can bring in, and how you can organize your social media channels under tabs and create streams. And the cool thing about Hootsuite is that you can create unlimited amount of tabs and have 10 streams per tab. So even if you bring in your Twitter profiles and your lists, you can create a listening stream for actually a tab for tweet chats. You can create a tab for people you're following. You can create a tab for your competitors. You can create a tab for specific keywords or trending topics, even around your name, company name, or specific problems, so that you can catch it real time. And so I'm the type of person I like to organize my social media channels based on what my need is, my goal and objective. So, in your case, you may just create a Twitter tab, a Facebook tab, a LinkedIn tab, a video tab, or a video and photo tab, and then you can have a content curation tab, or just call it content, and then of course you can create a tweet chat tab, and a competitor tab, and etc. etc. What I'll do is I'll show you how I set up my Hootsuite, but see, I can customize it any way I want, and so you can customize it however way you want. And so just to keep in mind that when you set up Hootsuite for yourself, you're going to do it based around what you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to save time. You want to have an overview of all your feeds. You don't want to miss anything. You want to have a scheduler, and Hootsuite offers 3 types of scheduling with the pro level. There's analytics, so that you can measure and monitor how well your content's doing. And there's applications that you can integrate. They're extremely helpful. Now you can blog directly from Hootsuite. You can integrate your WordPress or your Tumblr. So this means you can blog directly from Hootsuite. And what's really cool is the integration of other applications, such as content stuff like Reddit and StumbleUpon. You'll be able to do a number of things and get some great ideas to write content, and the ability to share is phenomenal. And Hootsuite continues to update and upgrade this platform. And what's really cool about this platform is that it's only $9.99 a month. And most other social media dashboards are very expensive, and they don't nearly do as well as what Hootsuite does. And I have used almost every social media dashboard out there. I've used Awareness, I've used TweetDeck, I've used Seismic, which has been absorbed by Hootsuite, so no wonder, because they're both good and they're very similar in nature. I've used Social Made Simple, and of course it all depends on a person's needs, right? But if we're social media consultants and we're going to offer services, and most of our clients are heavy bloggers and they really want to attract specific people, well, the social media channels where everyone is hanging out at are integrated with Hootsuite, versus the other tools that I've used. They have some good things about it, but it still feels quite limited. So I love Hootsuite, and I think that I need to stop tooting my horn there. So Hootsuite is known for creating a management system tool that creates opportunities for engagement and collaboration, offers analytics and security. Now, a word about security, what that means is instead of sacrificing your privacy in terms of your user ID and passcodes to an admin or a VA, when you sign up for the pro level for Hootsuite, you're able to add one team member or one admin. And so that person would get an invitation, and they would have to use their own email address and passcode to access Hootsuite. And then you have the ability to assign him or her specific social media channels. And there's several permission levels. There's a default level, which is somewhat limited, and then there's a admin level, which means that they'll be able to, navigate and add apps and things like that. And you would be the super admin. So what I'm going to do is basically, I've already discussed, I think that the pro plan is better. The free plan is very limited. It has only 5 either social media channels and apps that you can have, and limited analytics, and limited on scheduling. You can only use the basic scheduler, which means you do it manually, 1 per day or 1 per hour. I'm going to show you how I set up my dashboard. It is customizable. It is very flexible. I'll show you how to set up tabs and streams. Like I said, you can have multiple tabs. You can rename them, and you can have 10 streams per tab. So this will be really good for strategy in terms of how you're going to organize your social media and create your listening streams and whatnot. I'm going to go over the posting and auto schedule feature, and then how to engage within within your feeds. It's very similar as though you're on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. It has the same type of features, but it's even better because you get an overview of everything that's happening, and you're able to navigate quickly, and you're able to engage, and you can do so much in 15 minutes, especially if you can't be online all day. Usually I tell people to show up in the morning, do their real work, put it on their calendar to check in at 11:30, and spend 15-20 minutes just navigating Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and resharing, acknowledging people and whatnot. And then, of course, if you plan and prepare in advance, you can definitely take advantage of integrating some of the channels that you can pull content from, like Reddit, Scoop.it, SlideShare, Storify, StumbleUpon, TrendSpotter. I mean, this alone will give you so much options in terms of content. And I'm going to, at least, if anything, I'm going to show you how TrendSpotter works, because I absolutely love it. And then, of course, this is just a quick summary overview that Hootsuite, is an all-in-one. You can measure and monitor, you can schedule, you can use polling applications like GoPollGo or Vision Critical Surveys. You can create content by blogging on WordPress.com or Tumblr right within the Hootsuite dashboard. You can find content on these sites and use them as fodder for creating content, right? And not only that, but Hootsuite enables you to select content, and you can schedule it for later, or you can actually sit down and pick one day where you're going to schedule content based around your ideal theme. Or if you have a content marketing calendar, most companies have a theme, and they're usually seasonal. So you can grab content from all these sites, and you can schedule it for the whole month. And so if you have, strategy as 1 week and video as a second week, and blogging as a third week and whatnot, then you've got content that you can pull from various sources, a mix of video, photos, and blogs, and then you can just spend time just engaging in the sites within Hootsuite and creating your own blogs or videos. So when you upgrade to Pro, you have a 30-day free trial, and you can integrate multiple Twitter profiles, Twitter lists, even lists that you've subscribed to. You can create a tab and streams based on tweet chats and trending topics and people and competitors, multiple Facebook profiles and pages, LinkedIn profile, pages in groups. When I say pages, I mean a LinkedIn company page, and Google Plus for business page as well, YouTube, Vimeo, Flickr, Instagram. These are some of my favorite apps and social media channels that I bring in, and then these are the available apps that you can select. And the reason why I brought these up is that they can complement your social media activity and engagement online, because they each do something different. But I don't want to overwhelm you. You have to decide by going to these websites and just reviewing them. Have a notebook and just write down the name of the tool or the app, and understand if it's something that will help you and it's something you can use and it's easy. Sometimes if it's too hard, then you just don't want to start something new, because learning Hootsuite in itself is going to take you some time. So really quick, let's go back to my agenda here. I'm just going to show you very quickly the real quick features of Hootsuite, and then I'm going to show you how to set up a dashboard with tabs and streams and examples of the type of streams that I created. Now, I could manually show you how to add a stream. It's very simple. Every single social media channel will ask you to sync with your profile. And so if you want to sync in multiple Twitter profiles, you'll need to log out and log in as that other user. But I'm going to give you a little warning. It is better to set a custom Hootsuite dashboard for your clients rather than having 5 clients under your own Hootsuite dashboard, because the room for mistakes will increase. And I'm just saying this from experience. If you bring in 5 clients and you create a tab for each of those clients, and you bring in their Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, WordPress, let's just imagine that's what they want, a LinkedIn company profile, some streams that you've created, listening streams. You only have 10 streams per tab. But when you're scheduling content, you can accidentally select the wrong Twitter profile. And it's easy to do because it's really hard to tell whose Twitter profile is who unless you hover over that particular icon. And let me show you. When you integrate all your social media channels with Hootsuite, they appear here. And as you can see, there's multiple Twitter profiles. But let's just say you're scheduling content and you accidentally pick the wrong Twitter profile. I just don't want that to happen to you. So I'm just going to say, for the sake of argument, you should offer a Hootsuite setup and integration of social media channels and apps for your clients, and then have them add you as an admin if you are going to be hired to manage their day in, day out social media monitoring and management. But this is going to be for you. This Hootsuite demo is, you should set this up for you and then figure out how to help your clients set up their own customized Hootsuite. Now, when you create a Hootsuite profile, whether it's a 30-day free trial or not, you'll come to a page like this, but there will be no tabs here. And so obviously it's going to ask you to add a social network. Now you can go ahead and add all your social networks first, but it is better to create a tab by clicking the plus sign. You can name it anything you want. Let's pretend you call it Twitter. And once you're done, and because I have multiple tabs across, it's showing up here. And as you can see, it is highlighted. Then you add a stream. And because I already added my Twitter profile, all I have to do is decide which profile I want to add. And then I have these 4 tabs up here. So what exactly do I want to bring in? Well, the first thing you're going to bring in is your home feed, your mentions, and your direct messages. Then you might want to do some searches on a hashtag if you want. I personally am very organized. I'd rather have all my hashtags or my tweet chats under one tab. But if you're looking for a hashtag, go ahead and do that. And then just keep in mind you only have 10 streams per tab. So I'm going to do keywords. Content marketing. Social media marketing, and SEO. So now I'm adding a stream based on these 3 keywords that I created. So now you have a choice to bring in your lists, your Twitter lists. And this is a thing. Let me just talk about Twitter lists for a moment. I've created 20 Twitter lists many years ago, and I did it by categories or industries, and I wanted to sort my Twitter people. And I say this because you don't necessarily have to follow them, and they don't necessarily have to follow you for you to bring them in a list. And so this is why there's been a shift in Twitter, and why a lot of thought leaders and people that are heavy Twitter users, they went into their Twitter and they unfollowed a bunch of people. Because in the old days, you were supposed to reciprocate followers and followers, right? And I'm still old school. I still like to follow people back. I don't follow just everyone. I only follow people that I feel I can engage with. But this is the thing. The more followers you have, the more you have to manage. And so Twitter list helps you manage the size of your Twitter growth. And if you can just, remember that whenever you're reading someone's tweets and you like their profile, move them into a list. And whether they follow you back or not is irrelevant, because as long as they're in a list, and if you're managing that list through, Hootsuite as well as on your Twitter app on your iPhone or what have you, you're not going to miss anything, because all you have to do is just click on that list to see what's going on and retweet and mention and thank people and whatnot. So getting back to this particular tab, you can create a stream just alone on your own lists, or you can go ahead and add it to your Twitter tab. And then there's also subscribe lists. Now, the thing about public lists is that it's free to the public, and that means anyone can subscribe to your list. And keep in mind that your profile will be added to a list. If someone looks at your profile, and regardless of what you do for a living, if you're a copywriter or a coach or a consultant like myself, if they like your feeds and they like your personality, they're going to move you into a list. And a lot of times you'll get notified saying you got moved into a list. And so you should thank them, and I think it's cool to be listed. But you should create your own lists, and you don't need to create 20 like I did. I'm an over-the-top type of person, and I just thought it would be kind of cool to have 20 lists, because I organize. And I have a ton of subscribers to some of my lists. I think that's pretty cool too. So, but you can go ahead and bring in, a list, whatever that may be. So, let's just pretend I'm doing that. Now, if you are interested in creating lists, you can create lists within your Hootsuite as well. I don't necessarily think it'll show up on Twitter. I don't know that. But if you create a private list is you're the only one that has access to it. So let's just say you're spying on your competitors, and you really don't want them to know that you're spying on them. So instead of following them, you would just bring them into a private list, and then you can just sort of monitor them. You can even have a private list that's around negative word. So I think that's a really good idea to do, is to do that. So here I am. I created a Twitter tab, and I brought in, I have a keyword, I have a list that I'm following. And this is just strictly for example, okay, how you can create a Twitter tab with 10 streams, okay? I call these listening streams. So within these streams, it's very easy to engage with people. You can click reply, and it shows up in the schedule box. And, you can type your answer or what have you. You can also click the retweet button, and it'll ask, do you want to retweet to your followers? And you say yes. We're not going to do that, though, because I don't want to retweet this. You can DM this person if they're following you. And if you click this down arrow, you can favorite it. You can reply all. You can send this to your email if it's to remind you to do something. You can send it to a conversation. That's a new tool that Hootsuite has brought up. And the conversation is not just open to, it's basically inviting people in your network to collaborate and hang out with you. And you would have to literally, like, you can send something here and you can invite people to collaborate with you regarding that this one post that I added. So this is conversations, and it's in beta right now. So I added this content yesterday because I was practicing, and I can invite anyone based on email address, saying, and then I can write a note, okay, and I can say, sorry about that. I can say, what do you think of this, and blah, 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 and we can have a private conversation, and it could actually be, you can you can do, obviously you have options here, but you can also create this as a listening stream. And I think there'll be an option to do that. Okay. So, but this is a really cool tool, because then if you have a profile with Storify, and I believe it's a free subscription model, then you can send content to Storify. And there's some content can be shared on Scoopit and some content cannot. So Scoopit is like it's just an online platform where you can curate content and you can share it within your network there, and you can also cross-pollinate towards Twitter and Facebook and other social channels. It's really cool because it's kind of like a landing page with your profile, and it's branded, and you should check it out. Okay, so this is basically managing the Twitter. Okay, so now with Facebook, it's really easy. Whenever you add a stream, okay, this will pop up and you have the option. Since we're in the Facebook tab, and this is just the way I set it up, I've already connected my Facebook tab, so all of these social channels will make you go through a verification, and it's just a process. And once that happens, then you'll have a profile right here. And as you can see, I have multiple. I have a Facebook profile and a couple of Facebook groups and pages, and this includes even groups that you've joined. Okay, so it's really kind of cool. And so you can set up streams, and you can bring in all your groups and pages. You can also click on the search tab here, select your Facebook profile or your group, and you can just type in, social media training, and you can add a stream. And so Facebook will look online, and these are just, I don't know what it does. Even though I did it under my Facebook or my Twitter, even though I did this under my Facebook page, it brought in people that talked about social media training. So it's just a matter of scanning it and seeing if it's even appropriate for me. And if it's not, then I'll get rid of it. And it's so easy. You can move these streams around and organize it in the way that you see fit. You can get rid of it. You can share the stream with the team, which is, for instance, the team that I created. And that's something that's new, so I'm not going to go there right now. But I'm going to delete the stream because I don't want it. Okay, so this is cool. And then I created a Twitter list tab, and I brought in all my Twitter lists, because that way I have one place that I can do a quick overview of everything. My social media apps, this is so easy to integrate, but as I said, you have to create your social media profiles on StumbleUpon, Reddit, and a couple other social sites. So you have a choice. You can add a stream here. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, it's still loading. You can add a stream here, and you click on apps right here. And I already installed these apps, but just for the sake of argument, since you're a virgin to Hootsuite, this would be blank, so you would just click more apps. And then you have an overview, and I click all apps here. It just defaults to this. And there's featured apps and there's premium apps. The premium apps are expensive membership models like HubSpot. And then this will just tell you what's already installed. And you can hide the installed apps. But I'm going to not hide it because I want to show you what's available to you, what you can integrate with Hootsuite. And so when you install YouTube, for instance, you can create 3 streams under YouTube. You can have your own channel, the subscription channel, who you subscribe to, and a search channel. So you can type in keywords to look for fresh videos around that specific keyword. Because the idea here is you're going to look for content that's interesting, entertaining, and adds value to your community. And so there's video, there's photos like Instagram and Flickr, there's a blogging platform like Tumblr and WordPress. there's TrendSpotter, and the reason why I love TrendSpotter so much is that there's a lot of topics that you can select, or you type in a keyword or phrase, and it brings up some really fresh content that you can then schedule using the auto scheduler or the normal schedule. If you have a newsletter email, a tool that you use like MailChimp or Constant Contact, if you are an avid note writer with Evernote, I love it. There's a lot of tools here. And if you're setting up customer service with Get Satisfaction or Zendesk, this is if you're in IT or you have a product that requires customer service, questions and things like that. That's a really great way to manage and monitor those two applications within Hootsuite, because you don't want to be logging into 10 different places, right? Storify. Storify helps users tell stories by curating social media content. So the Storify app for Hootsuite allows you to quickly and easily curate social content from Twitter and Facebook streams in Hootsuite, adding them directly to your stories in Storify. Well, that's cool. I didn't know that. So I really haven't used Storify because I'm using Reddit, I'm using StumbleUpon, I'm using TrendSpotter, and I'm also leveraging SlideShare and Vimeo, because I want to be interesting and exciting. So if there's anything here that's standing out to you, my recommendation is to visit the tool. Right now this is a short explanation, but go ahead and visit it and see if it's free, and if it is, sign up for it and try it. So it looks like Reachly provides a suite of tools to help content creators and sellers of goods easily post and measure their visual content on Pinterest. So there you go. Maybe Hootsuite will add Pinterest someday. If you want to create vision critical surveys, or using the poll tool I told you about. Videolicious, I believe, is an iPhone or iPad app. So if you have this on your phone or iPad, you can create your videos and upload it to the site, but then you can share it easily from Hootsuite, okay? I don't know what these two tools are, but like I said, just go ahead and sign up for it if it's free, and if it's not free, then don't. But it doesn't hurt to experiment with applications, only because when your clients are talking to you and you ask them what they want to accomplish, what they want to measure, who they want to reach, this should give you a visual about what type of apps will help them make that happen, and Hootsuite will be a great dashboard to manage it all and to measure and engage. So this CMP.ly looks like it stands for compliance. It's basically a social media disclosure solutions, allows you to mitigate risk, fully fulfill regulatory obligations, and reduce the overhead of social initiatives. Basically, this is a good tool for any company that's in the financial industry, insurance, HR, or even like doctors who are plastic surgeons, anything to do with HIPAA. This would be a really good tool that you can introduce to your customer, and saying, while I'm setting up your Hootsuite, here are some apps I recommend, and this is why you need it. So, and then the Social Cast, I don't remember if that is a premium app. Let me see. No, it's not. So again, just become familiarized with some applications that you don't recognize and see if it makes sense for you as a user, if it will benefit you and your engagement and your reach and measuring and monitoring. This, to me, Hootsuite is just the best dashboard I have ever had. And as you can see, you can integrate Google Plus for Business page, your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn company pages, Foursquare, MySpace, WordPress, and I believe this is a tool or an app, a platform in Japan. And there's a new thing called Teams, and you'd have to actually create that. But I believe I'll address that towards the end. So I have all my content curation apps in here, and the reason why I have TrendSpotter in two places is because I want to take advantage of more than one topic. And this is what's really cool, is like you may have technology for one, and then bring in another TrendSpotter app and pick, social media, and the next one could be infographics, and now you've got 3 TrendSpotter streams with 3 different types of content, and now you're ready to curate and share. So Again, you can organize your tabs up here, by the way, just by moving them. Okay, and the same thing with these streams. And if you don't want it anymore, you just click on this down arrow here, and you can delete the stream. And you can also click this, and this will refresh anything that's new. So how would you want to share some of this content is just by clicking this little arrow, and it immediately shows up here. And then you can just toggle down and pick out the social channels you want to share this with. You can share it immediately by clicking Send Now. You can schedule it manually by picking the date and the time in AM, PM, and click Schedule. Or you could click the Auto Schedule. This is only available with the Pro users. And the Auto Schedule is a cool tool, meaning that it will just post that content when it's considered the best time for engagement and reach. And so even if you selected multiple Twitter or social media channels, it will tweet at different times in these channels. A word about I'm not sure if I brought this up, but you can actually pin a certain social media channels so you don't have to keep looking for it. So, and it would automatically show up as a default right here, okay? And I'm not going to post, so I'm just doing this to show you. You can also favorite your favorite social media channels, so that way when you're in a hurry, you can just scroll to your favorites, and now you've got your immediate access to your own. Like, these are just my social media channels, with the exception of David. And I'm going to unstar him. Okay. So again, this is just a really good good feature to know. I love sometimes the details are really important. Okay, so also there's Stumble Upon, same thing. You can click this little search bar and you can type in a certain site, a certain interest, by usernames if you happen to know who the usernames are on Stumble Upon, or by channels, and then it will display the content. So I can say content marketing and display, and it'll pull up content related to content marketing, and then you can click this little arrow and you can start scheduling content. So let's just say if you have a content calendar and your job is to post about social media, branding, SEO, content marketing, and monitoring. And so what you could do is you can select, this is content marketing. Now you've got all this content to do with content marketing. Guess what? Why don't you schedule it to for instance, my Novak Media Group Facebook page. I can go ahead and schedule this, take off the auto, for Friday, at 7 in the morning, and it's scheduled. And then I'll select this one. And then I'll do this one. Oops. Make sure you don't forget. See, I think I made a mistake with the other one. And I think that's just me. It's not my client. But this is just an example of how we, want to put some good content. So now there's 3 content marketing content, the topic is content marketing, scheduled on my Facebook page for Friday. But then on Monday, I'll probably have a different theme each day, or I'll just focus on something specific. Like it could be all about Twitter for that whole month, for that whole week. And then the following week we could talk about, Facebook. And then the following week I can talk about LinkedIn. Kind of create my own content that I think would be relevant to my users and how it would help them. Your job is to shorten people's learning cycle and to add value, educate, and inform, as well as entertain them. And you've got all these applications here that will help you do that. And I'm just giving you some ideas how to do that, okay? So we're done. We created tabs, and I gave you some ideas of how to create tabs. I have a Facebook tab, I have application, Twitter list, content, curation tools, my tweet chats, my competitors, my LinkedIn profile and page and groups, people I'm following, and then I have social media, listening set up, and so I have a bunch of subscriber lists in my Twitter. So now the next area that we're going to work on is the publisher. This is just an overview of what where you're at, what's going out today, and as you can tell, I'm staying up late. What's going out today on all my social media channels, and what's going out on Friday. And you have an option to look by day, by week, or by month. And if you have an admin that has a kind of a limited permissions, like a default, then all the content that he scheduled for you would show up here, and it will look like that list we just saw. And then the past, this just shows what was scheduled in the past, and I selected by the week. And I don't know where my list version went, but that's okay. And this is the thing, since I have multiple social media profiles, I can sort by channels. And this is a good tool for you, especially if you have to, like if you set up your client and she has multiple Twitters and multiple channels, then you can set up, a view for her, and you can just tell her, what went out, under each channel. And then this here is where you set up your RSS feeds, or you can kind of double check what you've set up for the week. And I don't know why this option is here, but I've set up certain feeds to go into one Twitter account. I have some feeds going into, it used to go into a LinkedIn group, but LinkedIn isn't going to allow that anymore. But I have a LinkedIn company page where I'm sharing content into a LinkedIn company page, and I can't seem to see it. It's probably under this. Here we go. So, and then the vanity URL, again, if you haven't paid for it, it's $49.99 a month, it would show up here. So I really love this feature. The next feature is analytics. And analytics, it's very easy to sync Google Analytics and Facebook Insights to the section. And so instead of logging into Google Analytics, opening up another tab or browser, and opening up multiple browsers like Facebook Insights, you can just check everything under one hood. And you can do it by Twitter profile. If you have multiple Twitter profiles, you can, when you click on Google Analytics, I want to warn you that you better be logged in to the right Gmail account that's linked to the Google Analytics account. So I have multiple Gmail accounts, and I accidentally connected my Gmail account with this one. And so I'm going to unhook it, and I'm going to have the help desk help me do that. But just as a warning, just make sure that you're logged into the right Gmail account that's associated with the appropriate Google Analytics, because my other analytics account has multiple analytics set up for multiple social media sites and landing pages and stuff like that. And so I want to be able to see that, and so you would be able to see all the sites that it's set up for and be able to get information about it, and you can be able to create reports. And you can create reports for, you are allowed as a pro user to have one free report, okay? And so, and you can create a label for that. So if you have a habit of creating weekly reports, let's say every Friday for one client, and she just wants to know how her Twitter, did in terms of clicks and things like that, that would be really easy to do. I have a Twitter tool tutorial that I'm going to put together that could complement what you're doing in Hootsuite. And so when you are putting together reports, you may opt to use some of these other reports. And it will also help you schedule your content. So assignments is, again, if you gave your admin something to do, it would show up here. Now, this feature is very lucrative. This is what I call a business development tool, but it can also be a tool where you can assess who are you following and who's following you, and whether or not you want to create a listening stream for that particular person. And you can do all the lists in Hootsuite, which I don't think there's a list under David, but under Novak Media Group we have several. So when you do that, it will sort and it'll bring in all the lists that were created under that particular Twitter profile. So let's just pretend that, we're doing this for a reason. I'm checking this out. This is my friend Lucy. I grew up with her. She's new to Twitter, but she's, barely getting started. I want to see how she's doing, so I look at her profile, and this is her profile. This is her timeline of content that she's pushing out or sharing. This is her mentions if she was mentioned, and this is if she's favored any type of content, and she favorited my content. High-tech leaders, let's take a look at that. This person is new too, I know her, so let's just look at DJ Polly. DJ Polly, you look at his profile. It's pretty cool. On his timeline, you can actually engage with him, reply, retweet. You can even email it to yourself or send it to conversation. You can check his his clout score, right? He's 55. He's got 108,000 followers. HubSpot's got a clout score of 84. Again, this is just a really cool tool to see who's in your list, and maybe you should set up listening streams and you need to get more involved. Check the timeline here. Check his mentions. Try it again. Okay, saying it doesn't exist, but that's all right. And then there's the favorites. You see who he favored, if he favored anybody specific. Okay, so next tab is the apps directory. And again, we were just there, but if you want a quick overview of the apps directory, instead of just trying to add a stream, just scroll over and hover over this little icon that looks like an app, and then you can go ahead and hide your installed apps if you're wanting to see if you've installed something or not, and just review the apps. And you can click Install App, and it will ask you if you want to add it. And it's added. There you go. The next app, let's close this out, is the Settings app. This is where you review your account settings, your preferences, your archives, your RSS feeds. And you can get the same information right in here. The tools, become familiar with this as well, and this is an idea. If you really want to offer Hootsuite services to your clients, it wouldn't hurt to invest in the Hootsuite University. It's $21 a month, but if you stay committed, you go through the whole modules and take their tests, then what happens is you can submit your Hootsuite profile into their directory, and your profile will be optimized, with who you serve and what you do. Then the next step would be to add the Hootsuite services to your website, and then sign up for the affiliate program and add a resources tab to your website. And so any partnerships that you have, like VA Classroom affiliation, the Hootsuite, GatorHost, you can either design your own banner ad with the link embedded, the affiliate link embedded in the banner ad, or you can just, have it hyperlinked. But the idea is you want to offer people options and you want to get rewarded for that as well. And then here you can find what mobile apps are available for you. If you're an iPhone user, there's definitely an app for iPhone, iPad, BlackBerry, and an Android. And the extensions and downloads. And so the Hootlet is a browser, a bookmarklet that you can add to your Chrome or Firefox. I personally use Chrome for everything now, and you go into the Chrome web store, and I've installed Hootsuite, Sprout Social Buffer, Dropbox, WordPress, a few social media sites, all the tools I use, my Gmail and my calendar, because I have instant access, and it makes it really easy to manage, real quick access. And so when I'm on my PC, this shows up. When I'm on my iPad using Chrome, this shows up. So it's really great. I have everything integrated. Then I've created a folder on my browser, and this is where I I set up all my favorite tools in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, you name it. Everything to do with my business is in here, so that way I don't forget. And also the way I set up my clients, like I set up my client here, and I told her this is what you need to do on your Chrome browser and your whatever browser you use, and she's done exactly as I told her to do. I set up her Hootsuite the same way I set up mine, and she loves it. So, with that said, I just like to thank you for participating in this Hootsuite tutorial. If you're interested in a deep dive, I'm an advanced user. I'd be happy to help you, but let's discuss it with Craig. Maybe we can set up a special training. In the meantime, post all your questions on the VA Classroom Facebook page or group, and I'll be happy to answer your questions there. So with that said, I want to wish you all a great day. Follow me on Twitter under Anna Lucia Novak. Thanks a lot.